Well, good morning, YouTubers and tuber-ubers and whatever other nicknames people go by that watch YouTube. It's Old Soldier coming back at you from Robeson County, North Carolina. It is a cool, crisp morning down here in the south. But nonetheless, morning it is. And it's a Tuesday morning, I thought. But again, I want to say thank you to all the subscribers that showed up last night from last night's live poetry, prose, and patriotism with the Old Soldier. Appreciate each and every one of you joining us. Had a good time with the discussion. It's great. So, but anyway, headed to work this morning. Getting ready to instruct some fine young people on DC-AC electronics. Going to review them today on series circuits. And eventually, I think this week, we're going to get them started on parallel circuits. For those that are in the know what that is. And eventually, we'll get into series parallel circuits, capacitors and capacitance, and transformers and transistors, Zener diodes. All that good technical jargon. Again, folks, back to the trades. We need to put a push under the trades for these young people. We need to push on these young people for the trades. But we were talking last night. One of the folks that showed up for the conversation, Jim Bear, brought up a valid point for some of these younger people. I'm not trying to single out younger people, but it is kind of a generational thing in this aspect. And some of you out there might agree, some of you might disagree. But for some of the younger generation kids that are out there right now, it's hard to get them motivated to get them to do anything. The why and the what for is irrelevant at this point in time. Once you're 18, boys and girls, girls and boys, you're responsible for you. Technically. Mommy and Daddy aren't going to give you money, or, just to sit around the house and do nothing. Okay? So, at 18, you need to be figuring out where you're going, what you're going to do. And if you don't know, you need to find something that can make you some money so you can help ease the burden with mom and dad. You're still living with mom and dad at 18. That point in time, you need to do something. But there's so many trades out there right now, folks, that are hurting for people to come in. It's not even funny. And the money that you could potentially make, that's the other problem. So many people, they think, there you go. I had to flash somebody, get them to turn on their headlights because it's dark out. But so many people go to a job thinking they're going to start getting top pay right off the bat. I don't know why they think that, why they think they deserve top pay just starting off. You got to work your way up in any industry, any trade. Even people with college degrees that go into the corporate industries, a lot of times they're going to start at the bottom and have to work their way up to the top. Okay? It's called paying your dues. The military is the same way if you enlist. Or even if you go in as an officer. You're going to start at the bottom of the rank structure and have to work your way up. Now granted, a second lieutenant makes more money than a private E1 in the Army. That's a given. That second lieutenant has gone to college, has gone through a program that the government has decided to commission that lieutenant. They've also gone through additional training to get them branch qualified, okay? And they automatically take on a level of responsibility the day they accept that commission. The point I'm getting at is that even at that level, they're still young, still maturing. What a lot of people don't realize in the Army, I think it's the same across the board for all the branches. I can really only speak to the Army. Officers in the Army are required to buy all of their uniforms. There's no going to supply and getting issued uniforms, or going to clothing sales with with an issue sheet and getting all that issued to them. They have to buy their uniforms. Their field uniforms, their dress uniforms, and right out the bat in day one when they're commissioned, they're required to, back when my day we had greens, officers were required to have greens and blues. Okay, and then if you got assigned to Washington, D.C., guess what? You had to go buy dress whites. Then, depending on your duty and your function, you also had to have mess dress. Yeah, mess dress. And the Army at one time, I don't know if they still do or not, but at one time used to have two variations of mess dress. They had the blue mess dress and they had the white mess dress. The white mess dress was a white waistcoat with black trousers, and then the blue mess dress is a blue mess coat with kersey blue trousers. Unless you're a general officer, then trousers match the color of the jacket. I'd do a more informative video on Army uniforms later on, but the point I'm getting at is that the day a young person is commissioned into the armed forces, they're required to come out of pocket for these uniforms. Now, I know some prior service folks that went and got a commission, and basically what they did is they recycled their enlisted uniforms, the ones that they could. Obviously, Class A's you can't. You got to go get new Class A's, because officers, when I went in at the time, had to have on the greens had a black mohair stripe on the pants and had a black mohair stripe on the cuff. But as far as field uniforms, they could salvage a lot of that with BDUs and stuff, and ACUs, too easy. Turning everything with Velcroed on. But again, the point I'm getting at, that's a lot of money right out the back into a new job that they have to pay for out of pocket, because they're required to maintain a basic initial issue like regular soldiers. And if you ever tallied up the basic clothing bag issue for private in the Army, it ain't cheap, believe it or not. You've got 4 duty field uniforms, whatever they call them nowadays, OCPs, in my day it was BDUs, 4 sets, 7 t-shirts, 7 pair of drawers, minimum 2 white t-shirts, 2 pair of white cotton drawers, 7 pair of socks wool cushion, 3 pair of socks black nylon dress, black leather gloves field, 2 pair of wool inserts, black leather gloves dress, black overcoat, or raincoat I think is what they call it. Then there's your Class A blouse or jacket, 2 pair of trousers, 2 short sleeve shirts, 1 long sleeve shirt, a 4-in-1 hand necktie, belt, black web, gold colored, metal colored buckle. You see my point here? And then there's 2 pair of combat boots, 1 pair of dress low quarters. You add all that up, especially now, I think the OCP, somebody was telling me they're almost $80 a set. I could be wrong. I don't go to clothing sales anymore hardly. And even if I could, I can't buy the field uniforms because retirees not eligible to buy issue field uniforms. We can buy the dress uniforms, but we're not allowed to buy the field stuff. But the point I'm getting at is, as an officer, a young officer coming in, that's a hefty expense, and it goes to paying your dues. If you get what I mean. Just like a private in the Army, they get all that issued to them, but they become financially responsible for all that from the day they sign that hand receipt acknowledging they received it. So when they get to their first duty station, they get a shakedown inspection. making sure you've got all your basic initial issue. That's the minimum amount of uniform items is required for you to be able to do your job and function as a soldier. And with that being said, you know, privates, you know, is accountable for all that. And if he loses it or she loses it, they have to pay for it. You know, but and see the difference now too is enlisted personnel, they get an annual clothing allowance. Now your first 3 years in, it's hardly anything because you're still working off that initial issue from basic training. Then after your third year, you get they call it a substantial clothing allowance. I think now it's $500 or $600, I think. I'd have to go back and look and see what they actually draw. I can ask my other son. He can probably tell me. But the point I'm getting at is when the Army does a complete uniform change like they're about to do, going from the blues to the greens, that clothing allowance is not going to be really enough to buy everything you're supposed to have with that uniform. So, but it's a clothing maintenance allowance is what it's called. You know, it's designed to help you maintain your basic initial issue. Say this year you might need to replace 2 sets of OCPs and a pair of boots. Well, that might wipe out your entire clothing allowance. The following year you might need a new dress uniform. So, but as you progress through the service, if you make it a career, the clothing allowance is really kind of icing on the cake, because in a career, part of your professional development is to invest into your gear, your kit. There's some people like to take the cheap way out. I knew guys when I was in, every time something's wrong with the uniform, they would try to go to supply and get supply to jerry-rig the paperwork to get them a free turn-in and a free replacement and all kinds of stuff just to save $1 or $2. Guys would go to the surplus store and buy these off-brand uniforms that may or may not have been within regulation just to save $1 or $2. Yeah, I did things to try and save money. I bought a sewing machine. Or, you know, my mom gave me one. I asked for one for Christmas so I could start sewing on my own patches. But, you know, of course, the Army and all its infinite wisdom, when I get the sewing machines to learn how to use it, they come out with ACUs and everything's Velcroed on. I'm like, okay. But again, and I've kind of got on a tangent here, but the point I'm getting at is that everywhere you go, in whatever career field you choose to get into, you're going to have to start somewhere, and it's usually somewhere towards the bottom. You have to work your way up. And as you pick up skills and knowledge and experience, the further you can climb that progression ladder to the top pay in any field you work in. But sadly, you get a lot of them folks at day one, they think they ought to be making top pay, or they think they don't have to prove themselves to a company. A lot of companies want you to prove yourself to them before they make that investment. Now, you get a lot of jealousy. Well, they hired that guy over there, and they hired him at this level. Well, they interviewed that individual and hired him based on his past experience with other companies. You didn't have that. That ain't right. What do you mean it ain't right? I ought to be making that. I know as much as he does. Do you? You know, you should be paid for what you're worth. I'm not saying you shouldn't be paid for, not be paid for what you're worth. Everybody ought to be paid for what they're worth. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is a lot of the younger people I've dealt with here in recent years, it's kind of they think that they deserve top pay right off the bat for the job that they're doing. And no. You got to work your way up to it. Now how fast you do that's on you. But at the end of the day, it boils down to, and we've got a serious shortage in the trades here in the United States. And if we don't begin to make up for this shortage soon, folks, is going to start to bite our industry in the rear end. A big one is industrial maintenance. Industrial maintenance. You've got these plants with these maintenance technicians that are starting to retire. They're in the late 50s to early 60s, and out the door they go with a wealth of knowledge that they only have. Part of that too is you go into these factories and plants, people guard the knowledge they have because they're afraid if I tell too much to this new person, they'll go ahead and get rid of me. And in some respects, that's a fair play. Other respects, though, from the company's perspective, they want things to operate. And how you solve that problem, I don't know. But bottom line, at the end of the day, there's not as many people coming in to replace those going out. And, the industry needs more people to come into that. And what I mean by industrial maintenance, I'm talking about people that are well skilled in mechanical aptitude as well as electrical, welding, plumbing, basic maintenance applications and procedures. Okay, that doesn't mean that individual can't go back into a particular specialized trade field and kind of solo in that. All right, they can do that. If anything, it'll serve them well to do that. But if they start off in that industrial maintenance side of things, they become a more well-versed candidate for a lot of these companies that are looking for people. If you go on Indeed.com and you start Googling some of the jobs that are available for industrial maintenance technicians, they want people that can weld, know basic electrical, basic mechanical. Another big one, boys and girls and boys, is programmable logic controllers. Let me say that again. Programmable logic controllers, or PLCs. A lot of the industry is using those in their factories, their plants, their warehouses, to control a lot of applications. And if you can learn to work on PLCs, learn to troubleshoot them, learn to install them, you can kind of write your own ticket in that aspect as well. It's something for you young folks that are tech geeks, as they say, to look into. It's a good way to make a living. I'll put it to you that way. If I was a younger man, that's probably what I'd be pursuing. But with my age and my ailments, I'm happy with doing what I do and with the knowledge that I got. But again, the way you do that is you've got to find a trade school or a 2-year college that's offering those courses and look in their course catalog. IT is another big industry, especially in the security network side of things. But you can take that and pair it with an electrical degree and again kind of write your own ticket. Folks, the education's out there to be had. The jobs right now are out there to be had. The problem is getting this younger generation interested in them and also getting them to show up to class on time. That's the other problem that I've seen with some of the younger generation is they don't like to come to school on time. It seems like they've gotten out of high school and it's like, well, college, what are they going to do? They ain't gonna call my mom and dad and tell them I'm absent, kind of deal. I'm not saying it's not the majority, but it's enough that you can kind of observe a trend sometimes. Who's taking the class serious and who's not. And the point I'm getting at is, in the industry, you decide to show up late for work, they're going to give you a pink slip and send you on your merry way home. There's not going to be any of this, give me one more chance, when they give you that pink slip and escort you out the gate. So if you take your education as serious as you are looking for that job, you'll go a long way. Yeah, I was young once and didn't want to do things. But I also had a daddy that taught me the value of being on time. He had a rule of thumb. If you're on time, you're late. you're early, you're on time. And the whole thing was, if you've got an appointment at 9 o'clock, you be there at 8:45. If your boss says you have to start work at 8, you be there at 7:45 or even 7:30. Dad, I don't want to be at work a half hour early. Well, son, you might show up that early and find out there's been a change for the day. And if you're the first one there, you can adapt. It also shows your boss that you're a team player. It also shows your boss you care about your job. Made a valid point of it. And it was something that I tried to take with me when I went in the Army. Now, I got to admit, my first 4 years in the Army, I was a young man. There were days I soared and was stellar, and there were days that I was your typical private. But when I went back in the Army in 1994, my priorities had changed. I knew that I had to be where I had to be to do what I had to do. Because now it was more than just me that I was taking care of. That's the other thing. I see a lot of people that are young, they're starting families young. But then they get upset when their job says, well, we need you here at 6 o'clock in the morning. Why we got to be here so early? Well, that's because what the boss said. Because apparently we're going to start that early. Man, I don't want to get up at 6, 5 o'clock in the morning, be at 6. Okay, don't show up, see what happens. Seems like there's no concept of time management being taught in school. Or the importance of starting early. Especially down here in the South. If you're working outside in the summertime, I'd rather get to work at 5 o'clock in the morning and work 8 hours and be done by 1 right before it gets, the peak of the hot, peak heat. Some people won't get that either. But like I said, the whole, real whole point of today's conversation is trying to, once again, put a push out there for people to look at the trades. Because we're up against the wall here in the United States with about to have a critical shortage in the trade fields. And many schools are doing everything within their power to get as many people into these programs. And you're starting to see a group of older students come back to school, I think, trying to get a degree or a credential in the trade field, and that's admirable. They need to. Another thing too for young folks, a lot of these companies out here will pay for you to go to school or will reimburse you for going to school. Okay, that's another thing you need to take a look at. They'll reimburse you for going to school, but you've got to choose to do it. And the other thing, part of that too, is you just don't go to school and show up and then not pass. Because if you don't pass, they don't reimburse you. Okay. One company in this area, Campbell Soup, they have a maintenance intern program. If you get accepted into it, they pay for your schooling. Okay. They'll pay for your schooling. They basically reimburse you after you finish each semester. I mean, you got to pay up front, but they're going to get it back. But you've got to put in the work and get a passing grade. You just can't just show up. You got to put effort into it, like anything else you do. Well, folks, that's really all I got for today. If you got an idea that you think would work well on this subject, or what your thoughts are, just put them down in the comments below. Let me know what you think. What your feelings on the subject are. Like I said, right now the field's wide open for whoever wants it. They just got to put forth the effort. But always, charities, I just ask you to help out as always. TunnelsToTowers.org. Pin up for vets and ballot for veterans. They can't do it by themselves. Anything you could give them, they would certainly appreciate it. I'd certainly appreciate it. Vendors, I'd ask you to support Money Quick Pond, Rayford Road, here in the Fayetteville, North Carolina area, where I go to for all my firearms and ammunition needs. Great bunch of folks out there. Robert's Custom Woodwork, Unsung Patriot. Check them out. And like I said, if you like my t-shirts or sweatshirts that I've been wearing, anyway, links down below to the Teespring site. Likewise, my books are still available on Amazon. Go down in the links below and check them out. Get a few copies. But until tomorrow, it's the old soldier. God bless. Take care.